no, don't do it again. That's a whole bunch of note for me. That makes me anxious watching them. I feel like some of those were done in front of a green screen, though. There's no way, I don't know. Anybody would climb up and do that? No? Like the lady that let her guy friend hang off the side of the building? Like, that's a lot of love and trust. First and foremost, happy Father's Day to our fathers and men who hang out with us. So we like to honor not only our fathers, but the guys that invest time in you guys, because we have men here that volunteer their time, volunteer their energy, because they actually care for you. Somebody cares for you. So we want to honor them today. It doesn't necessarily have to be a father. It can be a stepdad. It can be a granddad. It can be a small group leader, a youth pastor, whatever it is. Guys that pour into our lives are so very, very, very important. And so know that you have a bunch of really good ones here at OcYth, and we hope that you guys recognize that. So guys, not just dads, but guys, come on up. Not boys. You guys are men soon enough. But those small group leaders, come on up. We have something small for you for Father's Day. Yeah, come on up. Rich, you're in the back there. Come up here too. Yeah, come on up. John, come on. Yeah. My small group leaders. I put together some barbecue stuff for you. So there you go. I got mesquite. I got sweet and smoky. There you go. Happy Father's Day, guys. If you need to trade them out, feel free to. There's mesquite. I don't know if you like mesquite. Sweet and smoky, whichever one's best for you. Who else? Where's the rest of their guys? We'll have to get the rest from. I'm going to take one for myself. So happy Father's Day. Don't forget to tell your dads or the people that are pouring in your life happy Father's Day. I have some blank inside cards with nothing on the inside, that if you need a Father's Day card, you forgot, you woke up and you're like, it's just another day. I will be happy to give you one of those. Just let me know afterwards. Make sense? Yes? Okay. You guys are awesome today. Super, super loud. Crew. So one note on crew. I have to go to New York to my wife's dad's house this week. So crew, we had to cancel this week. So my crew people, I know. You guys could still get together and maybe do something, but I will not be hosting crew this week. I need to go to New York to help my father-in-law because he's awesome. So I have to, unfortunately, cancel crew this week. You guys are all mad. I know. It's amazing. Hang out with each other. Text each other and have a play date at the park. I don't care. Yeah, you can have play dates still. Settle down. So this week in crew, I had to cancel. I apologize. Let the crew know. Get the word out, but I apologize. I'm going to New York. So there's that. Worship team, see Sarah if you want to join our worship squad. It's growing ever larger. This is the last week. I'll put this in here. If you're deciding to do the Chambersburg project, they need to know by this week. It is a work camp where you go and learn how to use power tools. You serve. It's kind of like doing a mission trip, only this year it's a day camp. You can't stay because none of the schools would let us do like an overnight camp there. So it is a day camp. If it's something you want to do, please register at chambersburgproject.com. This is the last week if you decide you want to do it. You have to have completed the 7th grade, so 7th through 12th graders. So if you were in 6th last year, sorry, you guys can't. For some reason, it's 7th grade only. I'm not sure the rules on that. Scholarship, last week it's going to be in there as well. If you've not filled out seniors, the OC scholarship, you need to do that today. Okay, if you have not done that. Juniors that are now going to be seniors, if you do not check in on Sunday mornings and then you go to ask for the scholarship next year at this time and you're not checking in, you're like, checking's so boring, I'm going to slide by, they don't care. Well, you don't get the scholarship. But I was there every week, you saw me. Sorry, not my rules. You need to check in. Well, everybody should check in, but if you're sliding the system, that's your fault. Big kid choices. Big kid decisions. And we do OcYth Live. We say this every week. If you miss a Sunday, OcYth Live at YouTube. So you guys YouTube anyway, you might as well check it out. So in honor of Father's Day or Dad's Day or men who think that you're awesome and invest in your life, I've stacked the deck against you guys in this game because I'm hoping one of them win. But we'll see. Maybe one of the ladies will win for their husband. So go ahead and give me the first slide. Yep. Way back way back in cool, the 80s trivia. So this is 80s trivia in hopes that I can give another one of these barbecue sets away to one of my male leaders so you can have double. But if you guys get it, you guys have a set that now you can give to your dad. So I stacked it against you. I apologize, but learn about the 80s. So here we go. Stand up. It is multiple choice. A, B, C, D, like we do every week. Remember when we used to actually make you move, where you actually like had to go corners and things like that? You remember we had to walk? I won't make you do that yet. Maybe one week we'll do it just for giggles. What was the name of the last ghost in Pac-Man video game? Inky, Blinky, Pinky, and A, B, C, or D? A, B, C, or D? What was the name of the last ghost on the Pac-Man video game? Was it Dinky, Stinky, Zoom, or Clyde? All right, 3, 2, 1. It is Clyde. It was Clyde. All right, for my gamers out there. On MTV, it used to be music television. They used to play, so every song you ever heard, there was a music video to it. Now they do it sometimes on YouTube, but back then, everything had a music video to it. And you'd watch MTV, not for their terrible reality TV right now. It's awful. But back then, they used to do, this guy used to introduce things. This is the Talking Heads' last name was Headroom. What was his first name? Pixel, Max, Neon, or Boombox? If you watched MTV, it was blank Headroom. A, B, C, D. 3, 2, 1. It was Max Headroom. All right. Everything had a video on it. So, all right. Hannibal, Face, BA, and Murdoch are part of which group? Don't yell it out. Shh, I know that some of you guys know this, but this group, don't yell it out. If I hear you, I'm going to kick you out. No, I would never kick you out in the face of Jesus. So you're just going to have to sit in the front row so I can stare at you while I preach. Hannibal, Face, BA, and Murdoch are part of which group? G.I. Joe, the Commandos, the A-Team, or the Ghostbusters? A, B, C, or D? All right. 3, 2, 1, go. It was the A-Team. It was the A-Team. See, some of the older leaders are still up. They know their 80s, and we got some 80s fans. All right. Which fashion trend was not from the 80s? Neon colors, carrying a boombox, high-top fades, or bell-bottoms? A, B, C, or D? What fashion trend was not from the 80s? A, B, C, or D? 3, 2, 1. It was the bell-bottoms. That was definitely the 60s. Or if you ran a ranch. I feel the need for speed was a popular line from which movie? Top Gun, Smokey and the Bandit, Days of Thunder, or Back to the Future. If you haven't seen all 4 of these movies, you have not lived. Then you have not lived yet until you go home and Netflix, Amazon Prime, or something of these movies. Days of Thunder was a race car movie before, Will Ferrell messed up race car movies. Smokey and the Bandit, they had really sweet cars in. All right, 3, 2, 1. It is A, Top Gun. I feel the need for, and then they gave each other high fives and got in the plane and they played the really loud music and it was awesome. If you have not seen Top Gun, so good, and I can't wait for the second one to come out. Oh, all right, here we go. Putting together your favorite songs in the 80s for your boyfriend or girlfriend was called, this is dating advice back in the 80s, it was called a playlist, a mixtape, a track, or LP. A, B, C, D. A playlist, a mixtape, 8-track, or LP. Putting together, this is, if you wanted to ask a girl out back then, girls didn't do this. You used to listen to Rick D's Top 40, or the Top 8 at 8, and you'd sit there next to your recorder waiting for them to announce your song, and then you push record, and then you have to wait until it like finished and stopped it. If you messed it up, the girl wouldn't like you. It had to be a clean recording of that song, because who had the money to buy all the songs you wanted to tell her? All right, we got picked. All right, 3, 2, 1. It is a mixed tape. It's a mixed tape. Who we got left? We got 1, 2, 3. All right, here we go. Don't mess this up. Your dads want grill stuff. So, which toy was not introduced in the 80s? The Rubik's Cube, the Cabbage Patch Doll, He-Man. Anybody know He-Man? Like, yeah, all right, He-Man. And the Slinky. What was not introduced in the 80s? The Rubik's Cube, the Cabbage Patch Kid. Do you guys remember the Cabbage Patch Kid? Do you guys still have those? Like, they smelled like baby. It was really weird. Like, they had a smell to them. Rubik's Cube, Cabbage Patch Kid, He-Man, and Slinky. All right, 3, 2, 1. It was the Slinky. It was created in the 1940s. All right, we got a head-to-head going, a leader against the student. All right. This 80s cartoon main characters were the Autobots. Was that A, the Thundercats, B, Voltron, C, Transformers, or D, GoBots? 3, 2, 1. It is the Transformers. Band, you probably could start coming up here. We got this little head-to-head. All right. In the 1980s, these toys came with adoption papers. Was that the Cabbage Patch? Shh, don't yell it out. He's got to figure it out himself. Don't yell it out. Was it the Cabbage Patch Kids, the Care Bears, Barbies, or Puffalumps? You guys remember them Puffalumps? Weren't those the ones you like folded in and they were a pillow and then you just... No, those were Popples. You remember Popples? All right, so you got what, B? Is that what you're saying, B? It was the Cabbage Patch Kids. Super creepy. All right, let's finish it out. In this 80s hit, Joan Jett sang about putting another dime in this. Go ahead, leaders, yell it out. In the jukebox. Look at that hairdo you had to do every morning. Way to be the last student up. We'll give it to you. In which video game did iconic Mario first appear? Does anybody know? It was not Super Mario Brothers. Yell it out. What do you think? It was Donkey Kong. Which one is not one of the pizza-loving Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Donatello, Rembrandt, Michelangelo, or Raphael? It was Leonardo. All right, and that is it, praise and worship team.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Father's Day to our fathers out there. Does everybody want to stand up? No? Wow. You know, I'm half tempted to make everybody do like a lap around the room because everybody is dead. What? Me first. Okay, that's fine. All right, so we need to get our blood pumping. Okay, so everybody up on your tippy toes. Fingers all the way up. Everybody. Okay. I want to see, like, your spirit fingers that you do at, like, the basketball games. Yeah, there you go. Okay, now, touch your toes. Everybody, spirit fingers. I want to see them. Okay, now arms out. Okay, and now arm circles forward. Do like a couple of those and then backwards. Okay, yeah, and now turn around really quick. Go. Everybody go. I'm watching everybody. Nobody's doing it. Okay, and then one hop. Kind of like, what is it? Like the Cupid shuffle or whatever. Okay. How does everybody feel now? Awake? No? Didn't work? All right. Well, maybe worship will wake you up. All right. Let praise be your weapon that silences the enemy. Let praise be your weapon that conquers all anxiety. Let it arise. Let praise arise. We sing your name in the dark and it changes everything. We sing with all we are and we claim your victory. Let it arise. Let praise arise. Come on, sing it out. We'll see you break down every wall. We'll watch the giants fall. For fear cannot survive when we praise you. The God of breakthroughs on our side. Forever lift him high. With all creation cry, God, we praise you. Oh, we praise you. Oh,
let faith be the song that overcomes the raging sea. Let faith be the song that overcomes. Let it rise. Let faith arise.
let it rise. We'll see you break down every wall. We'll watch the giants fall. For fear cannot survive when we praise you. The God of breakthroughs on our side. Forever lift him high. With all creation cry, God, we praise you. Oh, we praise you. Oh. All right, break it down. This is what living looks like. This is what freedom feels like. This is what heaven sounds like. Oh, we praise you. We praise you. This is what living looks like. This is what freedom feels like. This is what heaven sounds like. Oh, we praise you, we praise you. This is what living looks like. This is what freedom feels like. This is what heaven sounds like. Oh, we praise you, we praise. We'll see you break down every wall. We'll watch the giants fall. For fear cannot survive when we praise you. The God of breakthroughs on our side. Forever lift him high. With all creation cry, God, we praise you. Oh, we praise you. Oh, we praise you. Oh, we praise you. Oh, we praise you. There we go. All right, I want to hear you guys singing the next one. Oh, I've heard 1,000 stories of what they think you like, but I've heard the tender whisper of love in the dead of night, and you tell me that you're pleased and that I'm never alone. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. Oh, I've seen many searching for answers far and wide, but I know we're all searching for answers. Only you provide, 'cause you know just what we need before we say a word. You're good. I can hardly think as you call me, deeper still as you call me, deeper still as you call me, deeper still in the love, 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 love. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are, it's who you are, it's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am, it's who I am, it's who I am. 'Cause you're perfect in all of your ways. Oh, you're perfect in all of your ways. Oh, you're perfect in all of your ways to us. Just our voices. Oh, you're perfect in all of your ways. And oh, you're perfect in all of your ways. Oh, you're perfect in all of your ways to us. Oh, yes, you are, God. God, you're so perfect. We have such a perfect God, and you made us perfect in your image, God. We love you. I pray that for all these students today, that you continue to have a burning fire within them to love you every day and to live their lives for you, God. You're so great, God. We thank you and we love you. In Jesus' name we pray. And everybody said, wait, let's try that one more time. This is your one chance to yell in church. And all God's people said, amen. There we go.
There you go. Shoop. Sup? Stuff, things. Hi. Happy Father's Day again. Let's get right into it so I can get you in a small group because you guys seem a little like chatty right now. So that's okay. We'll get you in a small group so you can do as such. You can chat, but let's talk about a topic real quick. We've been doing this series, Messes and Miracles. Messes and Miracles. Has anybody found themselves in a mess that you're like, oh man, how did I mess this up this bad? It's usually me and art projects, but that's neither here nor there. I usually end up with my fingers stuck together. But we're talking about life messes. And so over the last couple of weeks, we've been talking Moses. And so we did Moses as a baby the first week. Actually, I think I got a slide on. Messes and Miracles. Today we're going to talk about a story that most, even not Christians, at least know of the story, have heard of the story. You know, Moses parts the Red Sea, and everybody's like, oh, maybe I believe it, maybe I don't. Like, it's a pretty basic story in the Christian faith. You're like, Jesus, Noah's Ark, Moses parting the Red Sea, something about Christmas presents, you know, things like that. So there are some stories that we talk about so much, but I don't think we visited enough in context. And so that's why we wanted to go through the improbability of Moses' life and how God moved him from one place to the next, to the next, to the next, and how it is a perfect model for our lives. Because as a baby, let me go back one. As a baby, we talked about 2 weeks ago, as a baby, he had some things in his life that were out of his control. Pharaoh was killing all the 2-year-olds. His mom tried to save him by putting him in a basket and floating him down a river, and his sister was supposed to make sure he didn't drown. Like, that's a little outside of a baby's control. There are things in your life, good and bad, that are outside of your control. You were born an American. That's pretty cool in most instances, because if you were born elsewhere, you could have been born in a third world country, you could have been born anywhere else, and you'd go, wow, I do not have the resources in which I have in being in. That was outside of your control. You didn't get to choose that. We've talked about some of the hard things. The fact that some of your families are still together, some are divorced. That's outside of your control. Some of you guys are adopted. Some of you guys are big and strong, and some of you are pretty small. Outside of you didn't get to choose your genetics. You didn't get to choose any of those. And for whatever reason, God put you in the place he wanted you, for the purpose he wanted you, the way you look, the way you were created. He did that for you for what he wanted for you. And so Moses, we talked about the improbability of him being in the presence of the Pharaoh, to have a court. He became the pet of the princess of Egypt. Like, he literally was like the Israelite chia pet. She adopted him. She raised him. She's like, look at my little kid. And then Moses did something really dumb. So the next week we talked a little bit about how Moses decided, he saw that they were abusing some Israelites, and he got angry. And we talked about there are some things that are inside of your control. And sometimes you mess them up. Sometimes it's not the devil that's tempting you. Sometimes you're just dumb and your sin nature takes over. And so we talked a little bit about the first time that he got angry because he saw an injustice. He actually murdered somebody. And he was so ashamed of it. He ran away. He felt guilt. He was apologetic. But he's like, how can God ever use me because I messed up real bad? There's a lot of people that go, listen, you don't know, God, what I've done. How can you ever forgive me and my brokenness? I'm so far away from God and God says, I am chasing after even you. And so he learned to change. And the next time he saw an injustice, instead of getting angry and murdering somebody, he actually stood up for them. He drove them out, but he did it appropriately and properly. He gave God honor to that, and God restored him with, we kind of joked last week, he got married to one of the ladies, and we talked about, like, can you imagine that love story? Like, my husband's a murderer. Fantastic. I don't know. Do you think he told him the story? I don't know. And then God came to him and said, hey, I see your heart. I need you to do something for me. I need you to go. And so God started to tell Moses what to do. And so for him, it was at the very beginning, or the very end of his brokenness into his new life and submission to, I know I have an anger problem, but God's going to redeem me and restore me. And that's what brings us into, if we don't understand that part of the story, if you don't understand that back part of the story, that there are things in your life that are outside of your control. You were gifted with what you were gifted with for a specific reason. There are some things that you're messing up. You're causing the messes. You're causing the messes, and you need to repent of them. You need to say, I'm sorry. You need to re-engage. That is your responsibility as a Christian. We need to say we're sorry. We need to admit that sometimes we break things. And then we need to learn from them and actually engage each other appropriately the next time. We need to practice what God teaches us. And so then if we don't understand those stories, then the idea that Moses parted the Red Sea is impossible to understand. People are like, that's just a bunch of hogwash. That's big, crazy thing that if you don't understand the beginning, you can't even fathom the end. And so as we get to understanding that, as we start, God now says, I need you to do this. And at first, it wasn't a big thing. Hey, go tell Pharaoh to let my people go. That's not a big deal. I can go to a principal or something like that and be like, hey, this is wrong. We need to fix this. That might be scary for some of you, but it's a small task in general. Talking to the Pharaoh might be a little bit bigger deal. But remember, he had a relationship with at least the Pharaoh family. This is the next one past his, not stepdad, whatever you would call, the Pharaoh's, his mom, if you will, the Pharaoh's princess that raised him. Her dad died, next Pharaoh takes over. But he still had a relationship and the standing with them. So he was able to go and say, hey, let my people go. And Pharaoh said no. And we all know this story. He goes back 10 times. There's different plagues. But each time Moses had the opportunity of saying yes or no. So let me get into my slides. Week 1, some messes are outside of your control, some messes you create. If you keep saying yes to God, expect more. That's what I want to talk about today. We can't get to the Red Sea if Moses said, no, I'm not going to do it. God, sorry, burning bush, that's weird, I'm out. Oh, I can't speak. Moses had a speech impediment, so he needed somebody to speak for him. If he said no, the story ends. God would have figured out some other way to do it. And we continue down the road that Moses kept having to say yes, even though it wasn't happening the way it was supposed to. God was saying, hey, I'm gonna free my people. But Moses kept getting, no, I'm not going to do it. And he got the Pharaoh increasingly more upset. There are some things in your life that you're going to see that are absolutely cool and amazing. But to get there, most times you have to work for it. I had a great conversation with some people, even earlier today, talking about how so often things are hard is removed from your guys' life, that once something hard finally shows up, you don't know what to do with it. And so my encouragement to some of you guys is, anybody, where are my sports? Somebody, choral band, whoa, that was weird. Somebody that's part of a team or a group where you actually have to work pretty hard to actually achieve a goal, a championship, win a football game, dance, to win gymnastics. So you're part of a team. Do you just walk into the gym or the dance studio or the choral or something? You just walk in and be like, we're going to win this, and then walk out on stage and win, right? That's how that works. No, you grind and you work and you do over and over again. And most people don't see the hundreds of hours that you've put in, that you've said, yes, I'm going to go to that. I'm going to commit to that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to use my gifts and my talents. I'm going to grind and grind and grind, and then we're going to go do something. The cool thing about God is, if it was just given to you, do you appreciate it? We live in a world of participation trophies. Yes? Everybody gets one. Hey, you tried. Good job. Even the kid that was I've only been doing this a week, and they're like, here's a trophy. Some of you guys are smiling going, I got a whole shelf of them. That's not hard. Being a Christian is not easy. It is hard. And we have to say yes to things that are difficult. We have to say no to certain things that other people tell us that we should do because the world says we should do it. We have to say no to things that would probably be pretty fun, but in the end the result would be heartache. In the moment, it would be cool, but at the end, it would be heartache. We have to say yes to things like, hey, that person's hurting. I want to go here, but I need to stay with them and be with them and help them. I need to go outside of my comfort zone to share the gospel. I need to do these hard things. And Moses had to do that over and over again. And we know the rest of the story that Moses went 10 times and there was 10 plagues. And God showed him that he was still faithful. He showed up with these plagues. He showed up with all these things. He protected the Israelites. And in the end, Pharaoh lets his people go. And so that's super cool. Moses, even though he isn't confident to go against Pharaoh, did indeed listen to God. If you don't say yes to God, if he provides you an opportunity to share your faith, remember we just did all those spiritual gifts. If you don't go, all right, I've got the spiritual gift, God, what are you doing in my life? I want to give it a shot. Please put somebody in my way. And if God puts somebody in your way and you go, not that person, and you start putting stipulations to what you're willing to do with God, you're never going to get to the Red Sea. You're never going to see those big, amazing moments. I've seen some big, amazing moments because, I said yes to my wife, and now I have amazing kids, and I got to see all of that process. That was amazing. I was asked, I shared last week and joked, I shared with you that I went on a charity challenge. I'm not great at golf, but I still go out just in case. I might have that one. I saw a golf shot from 167 yards out that went in from a bunch of terrible golfers. And only God could have done that because we're so awful that it shouldn't have even gone straight, let alone in the hole. I've been on the top of, when I was 19, I was asked, hey, Dwight, can you put together a mission? At 19, can you put a mission trip together to go to Hawaii, to the upper mountains where there's people that live in extreme poverty and do a VBS for the kids there? And I was like, I've never done that, let alone, I've never run a VBS, let alone set up flights, let alone find my own team, and hey, you've got 3 weeks to do it. Never done that before, but I said yes. And in that trip, I got to meet amazing students. I've been to tons of countries where I was outside of my comfort zone, where I hiked to crazy tops of mountains to serve people, and my life was changed, and God spoke to me in very amazing ways because I said yes. And on the top of that mountain, I actually got to go to Keck Observatory in Hawaii, and I got to look at planets through their telescope, where they take pictures. You know how you and I know what a planet looks like because you see pictures of it. I actually got to see the planet through the telescope. It was insane. And we were in Hawaii, and I was wearing a winter coat because it's so high up in the mountains that I've had cool life experiences because I was willing to say yes to God, not just situations. Sometimes we say yes to situations that are bad for us. We get into dating situations, or we get into situations where we're asked to steal or cheat or lie or things like that, and we say yes to things we shouldn't, and there are consequences for that. But when God shows up and asks you to be a friend to this person, be there instead of going to, Mount Alto Fireman's Carnival, you actually stayed and hung out with somebody and you knew they were hurting, and you said yes to opportunities to using those gifts, God will continually reveal himself to you in the direction he wants to go. And so this is such a basic story. Most people have heard at least of Moses, but we didn't get the 10 plagues. We didn't get the fact that God led them with a pillar of fire through the night. We didn't get a cloud of smoke by day. We don't get to the fact that God takes care of an entire army and an ocean. We don't get to the fact that God provided food for years in the middle of the desert. They just provided for the entire nation, day in and day out, where you shouldn't be able to find food. One person can't survive, let alone an entire Israeli nation. And God provided day after day. We don't get to that story if at the burning bush, Moses goes, nah, I'm out. We don't get to there when it got hard and Pharaoh said, no, quit ticking me off. I'm not going to let the people go. In fact, he doubled the load of the Israelites. He made it harder for them, and so now they're mad at Moses. But Moses persevered, and he tried something hard, and he didn't let somebody remove the challenge. When he messed up, he apologized. When he screwed up, he said he was sorry. And he fixed the things in his life that was hard for him. And then and only then, because remember, as we got to the sea, there was nothing else for Moses to do. He couldn't have saved them. They were backed up against the sea, an entire army with weapons and stuff against Israel that has no fighting ability. They have no weapons. They have nothing. There's nothing else they could have done. And I promise you, if you get in those situations where you've listened to God and he's put you in positions where you need to be, and he's moved the mountains for you. I wear this bracelet. It's Matthew 21:21. It says Selah's Hope on it. It's my daughter's the bracelet when she was diagnosed with leukemia. And in it talks about Jesus, and where he said, if you say to the mountains, move, it will move into the sea. If you will, even if you have a little bit of faith, you can do that in my name. And so Moses, and by the way, she just had her last spinal tap and her port removed. She's less than a month away from taking her last chemo pill. God moved that mountain in my life, and I got to see it, and I hope you guys start seeing these hard things that you get to go through, some out of your control, some things within your control, and some things that is going to be super hard. But if you start saying yes, God will lead you to a point where he's like, listen, the only thing that can save you right now is me. The only thing that can get you out of this jam right now is me. And then he says, Moses, I need you to do one more thing. Take your staff and put it in the water. He goes, no, that's stupid. Why would I do that? Israel would be dead. But instead, he trusted and he put the staff in the water. And God did an amazingly miraculous. Like I would have been in awe to see a sea part, not just like a little river, like you throw a couple rocks in and all of a sudden it dries up. No, this is an entire raging river that stops. And they walk across on dry. This sea is gigantic. If you've ever even Googled it, you'll see that this is only the act of God. And then he closed in on top of the Egyptians and ended. We know the story, but it took a lot of yeses to get there. And it took something. I hope you guys see amazing things like that in your life. I think God will continue to do miracles, and you will see them if you will continue to say yes, and you'll continue to put yourself in positions where, yes, you're vulnerable. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's difficult, but you're doing it to give him praise, glory, and honor. No Red Sea if Israel doesn't make it out of Egypt. Want big? Be faithful with little. The Bible is extremely clear. Jesus talks about it multiple times. If you want big in your life, if you want something amazing, if you want to see God moving, you're going to have to start saying yes to the little things, like just talk to that kid. Just be friends with them. Yes, they're ticking you off right now, but the correct action is love. The correct action is kindness and not feeding into it. The correct action is turning away from your gossip and your bullying. The correct action is to start modeling like Jesus. If you want big, I have seen big. A lot of our small group leaders will tell you some pretty big stories. If you want to see big, I'm 40, so I've had a couple extra years to see big. So I've got a couple more stories than you. But if you want to be 40 one day and have seen some big in your life, say yes to the littles, and then say yes when it gets hard, and say yes when it gets a little bit bigger and it's hard and you don't know where God's going, and all of a sudden you're like, God, I can't do this anymore. Please show me what you're doing in this. And he parts a sea, and then he saves a nation. And then if you want big, you need to start saying yes to all those spiritual gifts we talked about over the last couple of weeks and months. You got to start saying yes to the little. That's not to say he won't use you in big randomly, but all the story that we know about, Noah's Ark, Jesus, Moses, Ruth, all of those stories, Esther, if you know any story in the Bible, it didn't start off with this just big thing that happened. If you really understand the Bible, God was leading and directing. They said yes to a lot of littles. And it got harder and it got more difficult. But in that, they continued to say yes. And God did miracles. You want to see a miracle? Say yes to the smalls. I think that's my last slide. All right, let's pray. God, you truly are a big God. There's no big revelation in today's message. I know students look for bigs and funnies and things like that when I speak, but today it's just straight, plain, flat out. You want to do big miracles. We want to see miracles. We want to be part of miracles. We want to do things that give you glory and honor, and to do that, we have to say yes. In the littles and the bigs, if we want to see somebody grow a relationship with Jesus, we have to say yes to your leading and leading us into their lives when they're broken and they're mean and they're gross and they're things, everything that's not you. But we have to say yes to your leading, and yes to when we have hard conversations, and we have to say yes to helping students walk along with each other. We have to say yes to you and how you're leading. And so help students this week have opportunities to say yes, to show kindness, to show love. And in doing so, if you give us a little and we say yes, you will continue to provide more and more. And so we know that that is true, and the miracles get bigger. God, it is